Welcome Indiana relative and kinship families. We wanted to put together a short video to honor you this September, which is National Kinship Care Month.
Working within the child welfare system is far from easy, but you are not alone. In Indiana, there are approximately 50,699 grandparents raising their grandchildren.
There are 59,000 children being raised by relatives or kin with no parent in the home. Of those, 6,705 of them are children who are in foster care placed with their relatives or kin.
Hundreds of family members and family friends have stepped up to the plate to help keep our Hoosier children safe and connected to their families and communities.
All of us here at DCS see the sacrifices and dedication that it takes to step into the role of a kinship or relative caregiver, and we know you don't always get the recognition and support you deserve. We want you to know you are not alone. We see you, we appreciate you, we are here to support you.
Next up in this video, you will hear from someone who has experience as a kinship caregiver and others from our kinship and relative teams through Indiana.
Hi, my name is Karen Hayden Sturgis, and I'm the Kinship Navigator for the Department of Child Services. During the month of September, we wanted to recognize kinship caregiving overall and talk a little bit about the agency's goal to include kinship. FFPSA, which is Families First Prevention Services Act, allows us to look at kinship first as a placement option for children and ensure that their connections stay with them throughout the life of their case. Indiana, over the last 2 years, has implemented a new program called KISS, Kinship of Indiana Support Services, which supports relative or kinship placements when youth are brought into care by the Department of Child Services. This is something we've done differently in the past because we haven't always supported the placement. So our concentration is on the placement and maintaining the youth in home with their connections throughout the life of their case. Our goal overall is to become a kin first agency. And the way that we're going to do that is to make sure that we are following the guidance through the FFPSA. Our overall goal is to make sure that youth are placed with their kin on their first placement. What we do know about children that are not placed with their connections in the beginning or within the first 30 days is that the longer they stay out of kinship placements, the more difficult it is to get them back with their community and their kinship connections. Another effort that we did over the last several months is we've implemented kinship champions. The kinship champions are going to make sure that each county office keeps kinship on the forefront. It's also going to provide opportunities for informal and formal families to come to the Department of Child Services and get services and guidance on how to help the youth that are in their care. Kinship caregivers are not something new. They go back to the days of when the United States was formed. So this is not a new practice, but it's something that we have to bring to the forefront for the Department of Child Services. And overall, that's our overall arching goal, is to become a kin first agency.
My name is Laura Stapleton, and at one time I was a resource parent, but I also worked for DCS. I ended up calling DCS on my daughter about 4 to 5 years ago because she was involved in domestic violence and she had drug issues. So at the time, it was very upsetting to me because I couldn't get help for her. I tried many times, but ended up having to make a report. My family wasn't happy with me, so I understand how that goes. And I know also that when DCS came to remove the children, I ended up having to move into my parents in order to take placement because my home wasn't big enough. I also know there are a lot of services we ask parents to do and a lot of things we ask resource parents to do, like taking the children to physical therapy and their appointments. Doing all that while working a full-time job can be difficult. I worked at the DCS, and I still do. Also, I understand the struggle of working with DCS as a relative. The only thing I learned from all these experiences that it takes a lot of help and a big support system, not only for the parents, but also for the placement. Having the support system in place and a good team really can help and really helped me. I had a good FCM that was really able to help me whenever I called. The relative specialists I worked with were really wonderful, and as well as foster care licensee workers came and did their job well. Being licensed really helped me out when I was raising my relatives because of getting the extra financial resources. I felt like I really had a team behind me, and it helped me to get through the tough situations. Today, my grandchildren are back with my daughter, and she has successfully completed the program. She has been clean for 4 or 5 years. She is out of DV situation, and I can honestly say I don't think she would be out of that situation if she did not have the support system she had. And I also feel like if I didn't have the support that I had from family members in DCS, it would have been really hard for me.
Hi, I'm Jackie Reed, a Relative Support Specialist Supervisor for Regions 11, 12, and 15. I've worked with relative and kinship caregivers for 20 years, and during that time, I've noticed it can be challenging for families to learn how to navigate the DCS system. Getting acquainted with our terminology, policies, and practice takes time, not to mention all the acronyms and legal jargon that come along with the child welfare system. There are services, providers, and court hearings to get involved with. I remember getting into all this for the first time when I started with the department, and I had time to prepare, and there was quite a learning curve, and it didn't come overnight. It's okay not to know it all. It's okay to ask questions. While you're adjusting to life as a kinship caregiver, we appreciate you asking those questions. We appreciate you working with us for the benefit of Hoosier kids. We appreciate your sacrifices and your struggles. We appreciate you being a relative or kinship caregiver.
Hello everyone, my name is Morgan Enterline and I'm the Relative Support Supervisor for Region 3 and 4. DCS recognizes that one of the most important things that we can do for our kinship caregivers is to provide them with support as they navigate this new complex role. Holding the role of a kinship caregiver can be difficult as caregivers and families must adjust to new household dynamics, changes to their routines, and establishing new norms. DCS can provide you support through service referral, which encompasses support such as conflict management, emergency crisis services, and parenting education. We would also like to encourage you to participate in your local kinship support groups. Those are also offered virtually if that better suits your family. If you are unsure about the availability of these support options, please reach out to your local foster care team for more information. Thank you all so much for your time today.
Hi, I'm Cindi, a Relative and Kinship Support Specialist with Region 3. From my experience working with kinship and relative families on a daily basis, I know that one of the most difficult parts about being a kinship and relative caregiver is to find a balance between being supportive of your adult relatives that you love while prioritizing the safety of kids placed in your home. I know that all this while also following DCS policy and guidelines can be a lot to manage. We all appreciate the time and energy it takes to readjust your relationships, going from a family friend or a grandparent or uncle to a primary caregiver is a big adjustment, not only for you and the child in your home, but for the rest of the extended family as well. Being a kinship caregiver is difficult in so many ways, but we see your effort, your struggles, and your victories. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Diana, and I'm one of the Relative and Kinship Support Specialists at Region 11. As kinship caregivers, we know it's difficult for you to balance the relationships you maintain with the children's parents. You are often put in tough situations where you must put the needs of the child over preserving those connections. It's important to establish boundaries for yourself regarding communication with the children's parents, and we know that is. Your relative or kinship care team can help you navigate these difficult times by providing support and helping to establish specific boundaries within the child family. Whatever your struggles may be with these boundaries, please know you don't have to face them alone. Your relative and kinship care team is always here to help. We appreciate all you do and the love, care, and time you dedicate to our state's most vulnerable children in need.
As kinship placement for our Hoosier children, we recognize the sacrifices it takes to take care of our children in your care. We know that you have to have all the appointments for the children, such as therapy, visitation, and it can take a lot of time out of your day, maybe your work schedule, your home schedule, to ensure that the children are getting the services they need. We know that it's a huge financial burden on your household and that it can cause a lot of issues with your relationships in the home, and we want you to know that we do value and care for you and want to support you in any way that we can. Thank you so much for everything that you do for us.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Marner, and I am the Kinship Navigator for Region 6. Going out and seeing families, I see how many families are struggling. Many of our children are placed with neighbors, great-grandparents, and we know that it can be a struggle, so we do try to offer some reimbursements and different things to help. And we're trying to also involve the community in starting to help families because we do know those struggles. But we all know it's very important for the children to stay with people who they are very familiar with. It makes it much less traumatic on the children. So for all the kinship relative placements out there, we appreciate it. The children appreciate it. And honestly, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all that you do. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for being kinship caregivers and making sure that the youth in your care are staying with their connections. And we appreciate everything that you do for the youth in your care.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do.
Thanks. We appreciate what you do.
To all of our kinship and relative caregivers, thank you so much for everything that you do for our kids.
Thank you, kinship families, for all you do.
Thank you from your Region 2 Relative Support and Kinship Champion team.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you, families. Also, reach out to your area kinship navigator. There are different support groups, some virtually from different organizations that are forming for kinship. So just reach out to us and we can direct you towards those agencies. Thank you again.
Adams County DCS is grateful for all of our kinship caregivers that provide our children that are in care a home. We appreciate you. Thank you.